not only for my own current efforts as a gay activist practitioner and person, but that of an increasing number of well-committed and tested fellow participants, such that the arrangemental basis seemed adequately set ideologically to now propose, on a coherent formulational basis, the definitional establishing of an operating scholarly and professional facility with a succinct descriptive name to referentially encapsulate this novel homosexual liberational effort, the Institute for Contemporary Uranian Psychoanalysis. As I point out in the introduction to the renewed version of the Uranian Soul, subtitled, A Gay-Centered and Jungian Psychology of Male Homosexual Personhood for a New Era of Gay Liberation Politics with Universal Implicational Import, in activist moral terms of the necessary human liberation of gay-identified men from hateful homophobia to be and fulfill themselves to the finest substantiating extent they can reach toward the particular facilitative power of considering important issues from first a psychological and then specifically a Jungian view lies in a more effective retrieval of the gay-identified individual to the raw immediacy of his own gay psyche and to its infinite qualitative riches, the sheer goodness of more authentic being, and through that fundamentally enhancing estimation to the immeasurable wealth of the prospectively living archetypes, the inner primordial forms of universal evolutionary truth. Systematic humanistic approaches, which can broadly be called psychodynamic and psychoanalytic, aim to facilitate realistic agential access to encountering the existent private reality of living human subjectivity in its better maturing actualizational possibilities to the most profoundly specific extent attainably available today, it seems to me, and by usefully there so formulationally situating ultimate spiritual, erotic, and political truth within valid gay identity itself, through such carefully differentiated, psychoanalytically informed self-access, the homosexual individual is, in this singularly empowering way, thuswise ethically promotionally authorized and qualitatively estimationally ennobled at the most fundamentally immanent grassroots level, constitutively through self-reflectively so knowing his own intimate psychology, redemptionally, to thereby best realize and franchise mentally his worthiest valuational potentials. In the elemental improvemental encounter between and evolving capacious integration of desirously seeking ego and evolutionarily personalizing psyche that is expansively engaged relationally within the developmental subjective domain, bounteously lie the fulfillingest human depths of all immortal import, as I have amply discovered experientially and as classical Jungian psychology clarifyingly articulates. The root archetypes of pure absolute meaning and vital cosmogonic essence, thus easily capable, resourcefully, of ably well actualizing a magnificently virtuous profundity of most estimable gay spirit in seriously useful doing and delightfully existent being, which is not only well estimationally beyond all oppositional doubt and questioning debate, but even more so importfully, which is actually capable enzymatically of advancingly changing whole worlds. To intentionally better aid such a majestic transformative process more effectively through this maturative sort of expansive homosexual self-understanding amounts to a basic ideological theory and systematic engaging practice designed for pointedly focusing and helpfully nurturing meaningful gay liberation of and in the vitally experienced psyche with a vastly enhanced immediacy, accordingly opening politically onto an entirely new scale of resultant impactful effect, a cultivatedly purposeful politics, an applicationally practical technology focusedly facilitational of improved homosexual existential self-becoming and worthwhile personal empowerment that could consequently be described as an activist or contemporary Uranian psychoanalysis that catalytically enables consciously, more liberatorily coming out inside, so as to properly enact fulfillmentally a transmutational gay soul-making of the richest revaluative possibilities. And such a Uranian psychoanalytic approach thuswise harbingers a fundamental contextual advance in homosexual identity politics that I regardfully believe can momentously lead to a further political stage in modern gay history and even world history. This new comprehensional advance carries the enlightened tradition of emancipatory gay-centered thought into more expediently engaging and productively navigating the sourceful inner sanctum of its own self-awakening subjectivity through importantly resonant psychodynamic terms, into insightfully regarding contemporary homosexual personhood in consonant accessing terms of its inner configuring origins and prospective final outcome. Not only a tremendous ethical improvement over the hatefully homophobic use of psychology and psychoanalysis just a few years ago, but even more crucially, a signal humanizing step that seminally opens gay-centered entree to those momentous methodological tools by which the inwardly relational objective psyche can be most fruitfully encountered existentially in an increasingly unrestrained and finer facilitated process of archetypal self-realization as a commendable gay person. Such a progressive, aimful approach to the causal nature, mythical composition, and transvaluative possibilities of subjective human being as homosexually salubrously informed, in complement to other dimensions of both psychological understanding and gay-centered thought, experimentally enacts a novel formulative combination, practically concerned with more so helpfully understanding and harnessing, in the context of a general affirmative psychoanalytic regard, what can, through Jungian psychology, be secularly appreciated to be valuationally eternal and qualitatively transcendent, specifically about gay-identified psyche, when supportively channeled better effectively towards the laudable goal of amply reaching meritorious personhood's full-fledged humanization and best auspicious possibilities, with thus so relationally engaging those deeper subjective resources nurturingly associated to powerful symbolic aspects of homosexual psychological life, most so allegorically involving fertile encounter with the archetypal self, the greater personality within. Because, in the end, it is actually numinosity itself that really moves humanity. And it is the fundamentally felt spirit and soul of subjective existence that makes anything at all worthwhile. What amounts to a momentous new type of liberatory political analysis of richer subjective self-realization, which then brightly casts in an extensively revealing light not only modern gay personality development, but also the historical gay liberation movement as well, its causal origins and profounder purposes, and from that watershed insight to the additional suggestion of a greater untapped but increasingly needed homosexual ethical potentiality, widely present actualizably among humanity overall, the possibly crucial political relevance of which may only be additionally magnified governmentally as the current social era of epical corruptive transition and consequent persistent crisis inevitably, discordantly continues to haltingly, ambivalently unfold. Therefore, in terms of the fundamental historical question of what lies ahead for being coherently same-sex loving, in the light of those assimilationist and essentialist themes I laid out at the beginning of this talk, the personal and ideological story I have now told you will hopefully give you some idea of one way that this challenging but outstandingly opportune predicament can be seriously tackled today, the way that has led to contemporary Uranian psychoanalysis and the 3-year-old institute founded in its name. This is how some of us are attempting to conscientiously address in a productively timely fashion the pressing political crisis of viable homosexual futurity which is stalking our community and movement today. And we wholeheartedly invite you to join with us in this bold new leap to more direct gay liberational psychological honesty, awareness, responsibility, exploration, empowerment, initiation, metamorphosis, maturation, and beyond, toward a revolutionarily refoundational renewal transfigurationally for homosexually identified personhood and community, and indeed the wide world altogether. Thank you.